Hi, and thank you for listening. This is Sherry Andrea. You can find me at sherryspeaks.com. You can find 80 plus attunements, Reiki attunements, as well as you can schedule a reading, coaching. My fees, my rates are very reasonable, and I do have a special right now, which is any new clients, it is $5 for them. So if you've never had a reading or a coaching or a teaching session with me before, you could try it out. You'll see it. If you go to, and I will put the link in the description, if you go to my scheduler at sherryspeaksnow.simplybook.me, you'll see it as one of the first ones listed, the new client special. Um, and then we can get a chance to chat. For those of you who saw the video I previously uploaded titled the same thing, that started to watch it and then it suddenly disappeared, I really apologize for that. That was my fault. I had gone ahead and uploaded it, put it public as I was still listening to it, and I realized you could like really hear my son in the background screaming really, really loud. You may have thought it was funny, but I just decided to do the video over again. Okay, no problem. But anyway, so let's get right to it. Okay, first of all, feel free to comment if you'd like. Keep it positive. I reserve the right. If you go on negative and you cross the line, I reserve the right to delete your comment. Okay, so anyway, this video is about Kundalini awakening and rising. However, this is not a beginner's video. So in this video, I will not be explaining what Kundalini is, what an awakening is, signs of an awakening, which I don't even know why there are videos. I mean, this is kind of funny to me. Why there are videos that talk about the signs of a Kundalini awakening, it's pretty obvious. If you've been doing spiritual work long enough for a Kundalini rising to begin, you've got to already be fairly sensitive to energy and you would feel it beginning to happen. You would actually, like when you did spiritual work, chakra work, you would start to feel that energy rising up from your root chakra. It is pretty distinctive. I would say that if you're at a level to where you're ready for that, I don't think there's any way you could miss it. I don't think you would need signs. And really, honestly, that's why I'm trying to think. When I saw the videos on YouTube, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's good that people are giving this information. But then I started thinking about it. It was like signs that your Kundalini is rising, awakening. Okay, and I kind of get what they're talking about, but don't mix up a spiritual awakening with a Kundalini awakening. Those two things are not interchangeable. They're not the same thing. You can have a spiritual awakening, you can have a metaphysical awakening. Kundalini awakening that's different. That is something that is going to begin happening. You've got to be at a point where, at the least, you have resolved all issues with your lower chakras. Your lower chakras are in, you've resolved all issues. And when I say all issues, I do mean past unresolved issues. Things that you were holding on to, things you hadn't dealt with yet. You've resolved all those issues that are related to the lower chakras. Um, Otherwise, the Kundalini couldn't begin to even rise. And let me give you an example of that. First of all, the Kundalini rises. Where you'll most likely feel it from is you'll feel it rising from the root chakra. It will feel distinctive, like, for example, as you're doing your chakra work, um, you will feel it will feel like energy, like, let me say, I would liken it to filling a cup up with water, like you feel something filling up. You feel this energy that consists, like it's not broken up. It literally, it starts at the root and you feel it start to rise, and then you feel it stop at a certain point. And it may make you go, what is that? Like the first time you feel it, it may make you go, what's going on with me? What is that? Do I have, some negative energy, something going on? Um, because the first time you feel it, it won't be something you've ever felt before. It won't be something that you could say that you've ever felt something similar to it, where you would mistaken it for something else. It's very unique. Okay, so like I said, you would start to feel it rise, and then you would feel it stop at a certain point. Where it stops, that gives you the indication of what you need to work on. So, for example, feeling it rise and then feeling it stop at your solar plexus, it basically would mean, okay, you got some work to do that's related to your solar plexus. Are you a person that you don't stand in your own power? Do you back down easily? Do you let people walk all over you? Or it could be the opposite. Are you too strong? Are you very overpowering or very overly controlling? So you could have an issue with the solar plexus that indicates overstimulated or understimulated. It could go either way. But if you feel that energy stop, there, it rises up and you feel it stop there, then I know you can't see my hand. Then that gives you the indication of what you need to work on next. And yes, you can assume if it's risen to that point, that means you've effectively healed and resolved anything related to the chakras below it. Otherwise, it couldn't rise to that point. The reason why I want to make that clear, and I want to tell you, understanding this is so important. The reason why is because of the next thing I'm going to tell you. That you could consider this a tip. You might want to write this down. Do not do your chakra work from the crown down. Do it from the root up. I just had this discussion with one of my clients, and I'll tell you, this isn't something that would be obvious to you. This isn't something that you would assume, that you would be like, oh, okay, I knew I should go root to crown and not crown down to root. No, it's to a lot of people, it's not obvious. I have talked to many people that say they start at their crown and they go down. And this is the way I describe it. This is the example I use. Okay, so let's say the Kundalini energy is rising from your root and you feel that, but you do your chakra root from the crown down. Okay, so let me push back for a second so you can see my hand. Okay, hopefully you can still hear me. So okay, so I'll tilt it so you can see more of me. Okay, so if it's rising up, and then you're doing your chakra work crown down, can you kind of get what I'm saying? Like, Kundalini is trying to rise up, but you're effectively running energy down. Almost like I could say, like, what are you trying to do? You're not trying to get in the way of it. You actually want to do all that you can to help it happen, which is that you want to help it rise up. Okay, of course, you're not just helping it rise up by doing the chakra work from the root to crown. That's not going to cause it to happen. What's actually going to cause it to be able to happen is that you've resolved any issues related to the lower chakras. So it can't get going if that root chakra isn't in good condition. You don't have any issues related to the root chakra. Okay, so what that tells you, what you need to do is you need to Google the chakras, starting with the root, and you really need to learn about the root. Learn how to tell if your root chakra is overactive, underactive. Also, there are disorders, diseases, different types of physical symptoms that manifest that are related to that chakra. um, Read about that, get to learn that, because then you'll know, okay, do I have an issue that I need to resolve? Is there something that needs to be resolved that is associated with that chakra? Because if I do not resolve it, then that the Kundalini can't move past that chakra. Okay, I'll give you an example just to make sure you're clear on this. Um, let's say, for example, you were in a car accident and you have trauma, even emotional trauma from that car accident. Let's say maybe you've healed physically, but emotionally, maybe you got PTSD from the car accident was so bad. Okay, so that's going to affect your sacral chakra. Well, one of the chakras it's going to affect is your sacral chakra. It may affect more than that. Because if somebody was in the car with you, that you had maybe a loved one or something that actually died in that car accident where you lived, you may also have some unresolved issues that would affect your heart chakra. So you're going to have to resolve those issues. For example, if you still can't tell a certain story of your past, it still elicits an emotional response. Maybe you still break down crying. Okay, you haven't resolved it yet. You need to keep working on it. And I know it's difficult working on it. It can be very hard, and you do want to be careful that in working on yourself, you're not causing yourself to go into a depression. So, there's nothing wrong with thinking or going, you know what, I'm going to need some help with this. Maybe I should, start going to therapy once a week so that I can get somebody to help me to work on this. So, okay, so the other thing, I'm going to keep talking about the Kundalini. Okay, so that's the key thing. The key thing is anything that's associated with your chakras has to be resolved. No past baggage, issues, anything. It's got to be resolved. Okay, now, and this is the part where I want to tell you about my experience, just so, not to brag or anything, but just to I want to kind of give you the heads up, because maybe in the future you're going to be at that point where you're like, oh, okay, I've started to feel it rise, but what am I supposed to expect? And then what's next? What comes after this? What does this mean? Am I done? Am I done with my spiritual work? Okay, no, you're not. Of course, the answer is always no. Wouldn't you love it to be yes sometimes? Um, okay. So what happened with me is, I wish I could tell you over the course of what period of time. I really do. I would say, if I'm going to estimate what it was, I know it was no more than a year, but then keep in mind, I was doing a lot of heavy duty spiritual work every day. So it was the process took less than a year. But I mean, I was really serious about it. Um, so I would feel it start to rise, and then I would feel it stop at a certain point. I would spend the next weeks, months, working on wherever I felt it stop, working on issues of that chakra. Eventually it got to the point where I, would feel it rise. I remember when I felt it rise to my third eye, to my brow chakra. I was excited. Why? And you're probably going to feel the same way, because, I don't know, you have this feeling like, I'm almost done. Imagine if you were taking a course in college that's really, really hard, and you've got one more exam and you're done. Imagine that feeling that you get, like, one more exam, I'm almost home free. And that is kind of how you feel, because by that point you've put so much work into your spiritual advancement. you've dedicated so much of your time where you focused on it and not just being out having fun with your friends, you know. Um, so you really kind of are ready to get to that point where you've completed that process of the Kundalini rising all the way. Okay, so you will eventually, your end goal is that it gets all the way, and then the end goal is that it bursts through the crown. And that's what it feels like. Now, if you were to ask me, and I'm going to be honest with you, does it actually go through all the chakras that are above the crown? Like, does it go through 8, 9, 10, 11, 13? I honestly, I couldn't tell you that based on what I felt. What I felt like it broke throughout the crown. But in actuality, I could imagine that it probably goes all the way through all of the chakras. Okay, so when that happens and it breaks through, you won't miss it. It's unmistakable because it literally feels like a little mini fireworks show shooting out the top of your head. Um, that feeling, and it was like really, really weird. It was a really weird experience to to go through because I remembered even myself wondering, well, I wonder how long this lasts, this feeling of like, yeah, and when I say fireworks shooting out my head, I don't mean that it's painful. It's not painful at all. It's kind of I wouldn't say it's a euphoric feeling or anything. It's just that you're literally feeling this, what feels like a wide stream of energy coming out of your crown. So it feels very interesting. It does not hurt. It's not painful. You definitely will notice it. It's unmistakable. Um, I want to say it lasted the majority of the day. For me, it did not last past the day. But it did last the majority of the day. And then I had already done a lot of reading and studying about the Kundalini rising. And so I already knew at that point that that did not mean that my work was done. That literally it meant that was just the beginning. That's like for the Kundalini to break through the crown finally is to say to you, now the real work begins. It's, I would say, I would liken it to a child goes to preschool. Once they graduate from preschool, yeah, they may have a graduation ceremony, but it's not the end. They're not done. It's literally just the beginning. So let's liken this to your preschool graduation. Now the real work is going to really begin. Um, but I would say, yeah, definitely you have every right to be happy and to celebrate that because of the work that it takes to get to that point. You have every right to pat yourself on the back, to be happy, be careful about at that point taking a break. I would advise against at that point, like going, oh, okay, I'm going to take a break from my spiritual work now. No, I would say don't. You don't want to get too lax, too comfortable at that point because, like I said, it's almost like saying at that point, keep that momentum going, let it work for you. Because to get to that point, you've probably already been doing spiritual work faithfully every day, and multiplicity has kicked in. So, from you doing it faithfully every day. So, don't stop. Keep going. You'll have plenty of time in the future to rest, but for right now, you need to keep going once you get to the point where your Kundalini has broken through your crown. So, I would say this isn't something that you want to rush, that you want to push. This is also not something that you should be looking for somebody to do for you. I know a lot of people who have asked that question, like, well, is there an attunement for Kundalini awakening. Or, and I've had people also to ask me, because I do energy work, I do energy work, healing, clearing on people, clearing on their house, clearing on their pets, a little bit of everything. But I've had people ask me, can you do this for me? Can you, awaken my Kundalini for me? Can you open my third eye for me? Yeah, I can give your third eye healing, but no, I can't do the real work for you. The real work that gets real results. That I can't do for you. Only you can do that for yourself. So, from this video, I would say, you got a lot of good information. You kind of know what to expect. You've learned not to do your chakra work crown down. You do root up to crown. I would say get into the habit of doing foot to crown, actually. Um, you know, and so you've learned some things that are going to help you. Don't forget, go and make sure you read and learn about the different chakras, what they're associated with, so that when certain things are going on with you, like I'll use this example, someone that occasionally suffers from sinus problems. Okay, so when they're like, oh, I got a sinus headache, that's a sign something is going on in the third eye area. Yes, you can do the chakra work and you can clear it and move on, but it doesn't solve the problem. There is something going on there that is causing it to outwardly manifest as a sinus headache. Eventually, you're going to have to resolve it. You're eventually going to have to figure it out, eventually. And you will. You will. Have the confidence that you will, because it's just like when it comes to Reiki modalities. Intention a lot of times gets it done. And if your intention is that, yeah, absolutely, I'm going to figure this out, then absolutely you will. Anyway, thank you for letting me talk to you about Kundalini awakening and rising. Remember, please, to subscribe and like this video. Please do donate. I'm working towards trying to get a new computer so that I'll be able to stream more often. Stream live instead of recorded. Excuse me. But thank you for listening. I appreciate you. Namaste.